The twirly thing is twirling. How you doing, John? I got a great yellow suit story for you. If you guys hear a lot of loud banging, we got my son a drum set last weekend. He's really into his drums. I mean, he's really into his drums. So he's going to be banging away. He's down in the basement, but the vent's right there, so you can hear it. But it's cool, you know. Kid practices his instrument. Can't go wrong with that. So I got a few things to go over with you guys today. I titled this. I don't usually title live stuff. I usually say like, hall number. Then I make up a number that has nothing to do with the actual chronological number of what hall it is. But I thought today, Discovery Bay. I thought today I would do something because I've been thinking about how much I love comics recently and how much of a chore sometimes it is, and how much and I'm not criticizing anybody else, I'm criticizing myself. I've gotten taken in by the whole beautiful cover, rare cover, key comic thing. And I think all that stuff is important, but I think that the bottom line is that I love comics, and I think most people out there do too. I mean, I think most people I know read them, and even if you don't, there's no problem with that. I'm not saying there's a right way or a wrong way to love comics or to be into comic collecting. But there's definitely a way to love comics, I think, and that's to really just be obsessed with them and be obsessed with reading them from a front to back cover. And it's the way that I grew up with comics and what I used to do. And I found two comics recently that kind of reminded me of that. And hello to comic lover Omega. And the first of them was really funny. If I was to go like this and tell you that I got, hey, just a Rican. Oops, that was part of my big reveal. And tell you that I got the first appearance of the Owl, Daredevil #3, for $1. You might be like, that's a pretty good deal. Even though you can clearly see it's not in the best of shape. It's like a 1.0. But then you look down here or up here. Somebody had cut off the top. I guess they used to trade them in for like send in 30 Marvel tops as like a coupon on the inside or something. Somebody had cut that off, and then somebody had taped in a piece of paper here and redrawn the entire cover. Right? So you go, here comes Daredevil, the man without fear. Issue 3, approved by the Comic Code Authority. I don't know if you guys can see that. He did the Comic Code Authority thing there. And then over here, they did a little yellow suit. Gray Man, how you doing? A little yellow suit Daredevil here in the corner. And then they taped the shit out of it using that old sticky tape that turns brown. So, I mean, the comic is probably worth the $1 that I paid for it. But it was so cool. Even on the inside, right? You got to hold this on because the first page has this rip here, and the and this ripped out piece here. So like two big chunks of the first page missing. The rest of it's all there, and I mean the pages are off-white. I don't know if I'd go so far as they're yellow. They're at least beige. Not sure exactly what, but just the fact, and somebody kept writing Daredevil #3 at the top, just in case like you don't know that it's Daredevil #3. Did that in the first 2 pages, I think. Oh no, just the first page. So the story is by the by what is it called? Written with Raw Realism by Stan Lee. All right. So you've got that great alliteration that Stan loves, raw realism. And it's a typical Stan Lee, it's a typical Marvel comic from the early 60s, because it has like so much exposition and like all these narrative boxes on telling you what's going on. And it's just like, they didn't let the art speak for the story. They let the art speak for the action, but not for the story back then. The Owl, apparently, I didn't know much about the Owl, but the Owl was a business tycoon who had lots of money, and his secret power was the ability to glide like an owl. So he can't actually fly; he could just glide and float. And of course, he has a lair that looks like an owl's lair, which I just think is hysterical. You know, so it's a typical Marvel comic. The owl is testing out some henchmen. So he has a duel with one. He makes the other one fight an ape to prove that they're good. So, and actually, Gray Man, the owl's business associate, who he tried to get to take the fall for him when the Fed started closing in on his money like schemes, was called Mr. Gray. So I don't know if that's a coincidence or not. No, hey PMC, this is definitely not a Hans cover. I did get a Hans cover in the mail today. I ordered another copy of second printing of #1 because I needed that. But it also had this, which I always thought was funny. This is like more of a cartoony thing. The spinning the bad guy in the air on the legs. Um, you don't see this much in Avengers Endgame. It's just it doesn't work like that anymore. The bad guy attacks me. I'll lay down on my back and catch him on my legs and then start spinning him in circles. But my point here is somebody loved the heck out of this comic, right? So obviously somebody either bought this or this is the original owner, right? So we're going back to 1960. Let's see, 1964. So 2004 is 40, 14 is 50, 54 years ago. Somebody bought this comic, and it looks like it's probably been in one of the first two original collections. And so when you look at this, when you see somebody that had a comic like this, they love this comic. There were a number of Daredevils at half price books, like a lot of the mid 100s, and they were all for like $5 or $8, and they were in decent condition. But just this one said something to me about loving comics and how much people love comics. All right, got another one for you. It is the first ever sketch cover. That's awesome. Let's see who's here. Poor Man's Comic is here. Just a Rican is here. John's Comics with Kids is in here. Discovery Bay is here. Gray Man is here. Just a Rican is giving me a shout out for having under 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate that. And it's really interesting they had me show or hide that comment. I don't know what was offensive about that. But anyway, welcome everybody. And so the second one I wanted to go into is I was talking to my guitar teacher the other day. I actually stopped taking lessons when my son started taking drums because my older son's also taking guitar and we could only afford 2 people taking lessons. So I took a break for a while. But when I was taking guitar lessons, I was talking about music, and he's saying there's studies done that show the music that you listen to in your formative years, like around 14, 15, 16, is the music that sticks with you the most. And I think that's probably true. There is music I got into in college and stuff, but when I call back, I always think to the mixture of classic rock and like 80s new wave that I was into back when I was like in my early teen years. I think the same thing's true of comics. I think that the comics that you love are the comics that like first captivated you and first got you excited. And this next one is one that I have always wanted to get again. I knew that I had it. I didn't read this title, but I loved the cover so much, and I loved it. It was 150. I always bought like the 150s and 200s of Fantastic Four and Avengers and stuff. So it's this beauty right here. I'd love to have a newsstand, but this is still pretty slick here. You look, just a classic background, and then the green and olive drab of Doctor Doom and the yellow and red of Iron Man. So I love this cover, and I wasn't even sure. I'll be honest with you. Like, I knew I had this, but when I read it, I wasn't sure. And now I absolutely remember this story as being just one of my favorite stories. So basically, Doom wanted to go back in time to find Morgana Le Fay, and hopefully she could help Doom free his nice. Hopefully Doom could free what's it called? Hopefully Morgana Le Fay could free Doom's wife, and Doom's like, So he had a time machine set just to this time, and then he and Iron Man get into a fight with the Avengers, and of course they have like these as seen in Avengers, and they tell when it was, but they basically arrive in Camelot, Camelot, and that whole like Camelot thing. And it's a classic. Like they get taken capture, and then Doom escapes, and then Iron Man agrees to fight for King Arthur. And I just remember like learning about literature through comic books. I know people don't think you can do that, but just like the knights come up and tell Doom to kneel, and he goes, "Kneel, me?" And they're like, "Easy, Doom. Mayhaps the cur has forgotten the workings of the joint. Sir Gareth, refresh his memory." So it's like it's typical um, pop language for that time period, but it's very very I don't know. It's a trope that I got used to, and this the whole thing about King Arthur, like the idea that you can't learn about history or literature or culture through comic books is ridiculous. There's many tropes that I think I learned about first. Yeah, ye olde English, where you put an e on the end of every word. I learned about tropes through comic books. If anybody remembers Luke raising the Ewoks and them thinking it was C-3PO who did it, there's King Arthur getting raised up in in his throne chair there. Hey Woodard, how you doing? So I just love this, and even like the ads, the ads that I'm the most familiar with are the ones that I grew up with, right? And so this page is like imprinted in my mind here. I buy all those toy soldiers for $2.49. So it's really good. And then of course the ladies come in and they're like, as part of our hospitality, we are offered to you, for companionship. Nod, nod, wink, wink. But then Doom takes his offered companion and instead uses his hypnotism power, which I didn't know he had. So she would tell him where the castle of Morgana Le Fay was. Like he couldn't find it, so he escapes, and Arthur's like upset and tells the story of Morgana Le Fay and sends him after. But this is the part that I remember, and I don't know why. This has been in my mind, not like I just remembered it, but I always remember this, and I always in the back of my mind is like, I'd love to get to that scene again. I don't know why, but I thought it was ingenious when I was 14. Doom comes across the castle and he sees the drawbridge down, and he's like, the drawbridge down for such a famed sorceress. I don't trust that. So what he does is he breaks the pommel off of his saddle and he chucks it, and he goes right through the drawbridge and then sizzles in like the sorceress waters below. And I don't know why. I don't know why, but that scene has stuck in my head. At the time, I thought it was the most brilliant thing any evil bad guy could do, to find another evil bad person. But like it just stuck there for whatever reason. And then the rest of the comic is, it's fair game. There's a battle. There's still all this exposition. So they're fighting. Morgana Le Fay wants to raise like the dead, all the people that have been killed. She had a piece of King Arthur's sword. Doom attacks with an army of the dead against Iron Man with King Arthur's army, and they're battling. And it's great 80s art battle scenes. Beautiful full page spread there, or almost 2-page spread. King Arthur's sword is glittering, and then the battle goes on, and Iron Man runs away, and of course they're like, Doom's like, that coward, and Iron Man of course is going to Morgana Le Fay to disrupt her, and then he has to use his white light to break the black tendrils. And then Morgana Le Fay's bird is actually this sick-looking dragon dude. So it's just a great comic. I mean, it's that classic cover, but I love it so much, and to get a comic that like you like so much. I mean, I can read a bit of Marvel and DC classic superhero stuff these days, but none of it speaks to me. Some indies speak to me, like Saga, obviously Sex Criminals and some of the other stuff that I read, but nothing's in terms of mainstream comics really speaks to me the way this does. And because I think it has that connection with my youth when I was 13. And it's just, I remember being so solemn reading this, where they're like, all right, we'll agree on three to power down and work together to build a time machine. So, by the way, Tony Stark built a time machine back in Iron Man 150 here. Endgame, anyone? So they power down and then they spend all night. It's like an 80s montage of like work and circuitry and pulling things together. And they finally build this machine, which, they can conveniently both grab and then pull it, and it brings them back to the same time. And they part ways, honoring their pact not to hurt each other. So I don't know. Talking about the love of comics, I just wanted to talk about this one a little bit. I don't have a regular live show. I have very irregular live shows. But I thought this was really, really cool. The cover's gorgeous. I mean, the cover stands up to today. The story is good, but it resonates with me because I remember loving this comic when I was like 14. See, it came out in 81. So I'm actually, gosh, I was like 10. Never mind. Yeah, the cover really is sweet. And again, for somebody to have preserved their Daredevil #3 in this way, is also pretty darn sweet. I mean, that's some really cool colored pencil art there, and even that art looks like it is 30, 40 years old. So I thought that was pretty cool. So let's see what else is going on. I threw up some books I got on Instagram. I'm going to a show this weekend with Seeking Near Mint Comics, and I don't know if anybody knows Jay Black from Instagram. I don't think he's on YouTube, but I'm meeting up with him for the first time. It's just a local vendor show. There's like a local artist there, but no like big creators that So I'm gonna wait till I'm done with that, and I've got a whole bunch. Bake the snake. I got a whole bunch of stuff coming in off of eBay. I've been purchasing little drips and drabs. I've been purchasing, cannot speak, a lot of this. If you read Rosenberg's tweet yesterday, he's being asked to write the script to this. I never had, I thought I had the regular #1, but I don't think I did. And I'm missing issue 4. So I bought a whole bunch of variants of #1, and I bought one complete set. So I had this third printing of issue 1, and I had 2, 3, and 5. So I'm pretty excited to get a lot more of those. I got a bit more dye coming in. I got a great, oh man, White Whale Comics sent me this great package. I purchased some X-Men from him when we did our auction. And I was on his auction, I should say, last week. And he hit me up with an AOK on top of what I purchased from him. The other news, if you did not hear, Vagrant Queen is not just in production. Some people like talk about when something's been optioned. They kept this under wraps. It will be coming out on Sci-Fi in 2020. They have the actress and everything. It's a done deal. This is a fun. I like Mag's writing. She's got a whole bunch of books out right now. After finishing Eternity Girl, she did Calamity Kate, Morning in America, Vagrant Queen. She's still got the Oh Shit, It's Kim and Kim. A lot of fun writing. I'm down to, I didn't love Calamity Kate, but Morning in America is really cool. And Vagrant Queen is really good as well. And so is Oh Shit, It's Kim and Kim. So she's on a bunch of really good books. This is a like B cover or a variant cover for #1, and that is Mag's signature on there. So it's a good story. I mean, I would say 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank is a great comic. I don't know that I would thank you, Discovery. I don't know that I would call Vagrant Queen a great comic. It's just a good comic. It's good fun. But 4 Kids Walking a Bank was a masterpiece of storytelling, I tell you. And JP's budget collecting is in here. So JP would attest to this, that variant that I got, the Virgin variant of Die #1, signed by Stephanie Hans and Kieran Gillen. I purchased this at the height of its monetary powers. Sam, I am. Hello, sir. It is, and that was close to 200. I'm going to be off in a minute, Gray Man. But it is now. I just missed one on eBay. Class was ending, and I'm typing on the computer, and I'm like, guys, clean up your robots and put that away. And I'm typing, and like I had a $77 bid. It went for 81. So I don't know. It's going for a lot less than it was at its peak. But even though I think sometimes we know better, we don't always act better. And for comics that we love, we tend to pay a little bit overprice, or a little bit more than we were supposed to, I guess. So we'll see. But $80 for that Virgin variant sounds about right. You get them in 9/8 slab, they are still going for 4, 5, 600. Not the 900 that they were at their peak, but they're still going for quite a bit. So that's pretty cool. Um, yeah, that's about it, guys. I just wanted to, I had that Iron Man and that Daredevil, and I wanted to do something just to share out like what's going on and what my thoughts were about that stuff. And then I just didn't really have much else going on. So there's a bunch of shows tonight. My wife's taking my son out to there's a musical group doing like songs from the musical Hamilton. He's a Hamilton fanatic. So I got to go out to dinner with my other son. He's done with the drums now. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But yeah. Oh, Poor Man. I'm sorry. Did you have the Adam Hughes cover to Magic Order? Alec threw that in as an A-OK, and I was going to hold on to it unless you needed that. So let me know if you need that cover. I assume you probably do have the Adam Hughes cover to Magic Order, but since it's a more recent one, maybe you do have one. Well, then I'm keeping it. I think that's about it, guys. Like I said, I'm going to do a big haul video sometime next week. I'll show you a little teaser. I found issue 2. So I now have issue 1 and 2 of the AT. Oh, wait. Newsstand. So yeah, I got a little stuff, and then I want to revisit what you can get at Bear Island. You can get it for like 80 to 90 now. It's not going for the ridiculous money that it was. But what was I gonna say? I need to revisit the mystery box. I'm kind of trying to let myself cool down. I was not as irate as Sinking Near Mint Comics. David was really ticked. His box was probably the worst of the lot. So I kind of wanted to see all the videos and all the boxes, and I want to revisit that whole thing and do something on mystery boxes, because I know that's kind of causing a sour taste in some people's mouth, and people going round and round about whether they're worth it or not, whether we got scammed, and back and forth. So I wanted to kind of do a little retrospective. Let me see what I pick out from the show on Sunday, and it might be a last minute APMC, but we could put one together for sure. It sounds like a good idea. As a matter of fact, I know I got some extra stuff here I could let go. So I'll get in contact with you definitely. Gray Man, it was mystery boxes in general, but everybody that purchased their Sunshine boxes got them this week. Some people very happy, some people middling happy, some people not happy at all. And without going too deep into it, I think there was, hey, 4-way flashers, how you doing? There was greater disappointment because the anticipation was greater, because this particular round of boxes from Sunshine were touted as being, my box is better than everybody else. Don't buy other people's boxes because their boxes are no good, and I'll show you how to do boxes. This is the right way. I'll go into it later. Like I said, I don't want to talk out of hand. I want to really be fair and dispassionate when I discuss it. But I do definitely have some thoughts. I do definitely have some things that I want to say in regards to mystery boxes. So I'm going to sign off. I know it's Friday night. You guys all got drinking to do and reading to do and people to see and shows to watch. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. I will see you soon. Yeah, it's interesting, JP. I wonder how much lower die number 1 Virgin variant is going to go, because some issues. I mean, you can Midtown, guys. Just the regular number 1, just Midtown. I got near mint copies for $10. I thought they were like sold out, but they had a whole bunch. I got picked up 3 of them the other day. So check out Midtown Comics if you want a regular number 1 because they're still selling on eBay for $30 and you can pick up a Midtown Comic one for 10, which I thought was crazy. I didn't know. But yeah, I mean, Die's coming back down, but I think it's still a great read. I think it's going to settle somewhere. Hello, White Dog. How you doing, my friend? Um, so I think it's going to settle somewhere. I don't think it's going to come back down to until nowhere. Yeah, when it comes back, there'll be a spike, and then when the game manual is released, which is supposed to be the same time as the first trade, uh, there'll be a spike. And then if we ever hear anything about a TV show or movie, there'll be a massive spike. And then I think you'll see it go back up to its crazy prices from 3-4 weeks ago. All right. That seriously is it, guys. Great talking to you all. Thank you so much for being here. JP, White Dog, Poor Man's, Four Way, Gray Man, Discovery was here, Bear Island, Bake, and John, and Just a Rican, man. I think I got them all. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.